Hey guys, AuspiciousAussie here, and welcome to episode number 3 of TEW 2020 Rates AEW. It's a pretty good show we've got here tonight. I think overall, Dynamite was, I would say, above average. It wasn't anything too special. There were a few angles that I enjoyed, but ultimately I don't know. A lot of the matches, apart from maybe the opening match, felt a little lackluster, if you will. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but some of the match actually, you know what, the inner circle, 6v6 was also relatively good. And I'll kind of talk about that once we get into it. But the rest of the show, I don't know, it was kind of average. I feel like we get a typical Cody Rhodes victory nearly on every Dynamite, and I don't know, it's starting to get a bit old. Anyway, let's kick things off here, and we kick it off with a 6-man tag. Actually getting a pretty decent rating here, considering a few of these guys are, lowered down in the pecking order. We have Matt Hardy and Private Party defeating Adam Page and Alex Reynolds. Adam Page, Alex Reynolds, and John Silver, in 754, when Matt Hardy pinned Alex Reynolds with a twist of fate. Of course, it was Quinn and Isaiah who got they essentially won the match, and then of course Hardy's new arrogant gimmick, getting in the ring, getting the pinfall for himself, after they hit their tag team finisher. It was a good match, like I said. Just the whole dynamic of Hangman Page, and then of course Silver and Reynolds. It's an interesting dynamic, and obviously there's the whole will Hangman join the Dark Order. As you can see there, Hangman doing some decent work. Adam Page getting a 68 rated in-ring performance, so relatively good. We then move into a 79 rated angle. We have Alex Marvez backstage, and as you can see, he interviews MJF about his, I think it's New York Times Award for Dinner Debonair. Of course, kind of eluding the fans, saying that MJF is apparently better than Chris Jericho. Jericho defends himself a little bit, but then MJF kind of takes over the interview and really defends Jericho. And it seems very condescending. And of course, these two, very interested to see what's going to happen. I'm not sure which way it's going to go. Potentially, MJF could take leadership, and we could maybe have... I would like to maybe see Santana and Ortiz turn on Jericho, and then maybe have everybody else go their own way. I don't know. Be very interesting. And then have, obviously, MJF be the leader, and then Wardlow still remain as the muscle in the inner circle. I don't know. Two ways you could go with the storyline. Maybe they'll just stay together. I don't know. But it definitely seems like they're kind of booking for a rematch between MJF and Jericho. Anyway, a 79. I think Marvez was rated on microphone. And then, of course, we had MJF and Chris Jericho on entertainment. Right, we then go into a special sort of video package where we have Brandy and Cody Rhodes. They get a 72 here. As you can see, Cody was superb working without a script. I don't think they actually said anything during the angle. But, they open a box, and it is a little message or it was little shoes, like I guess they're called booties or something like that. Maybe they're not called that around the world, but little shoes, and then of course a message saying that they're expecting a child. So congratulations to both of them. Pretty interesting way to announce it, I guess. But yeah, took up a whole minute and a half to 2 minutes of TV time. All right, we then go into Cody's match, which it was a good match, but I don't know, I'm just getting sick of his, constant single. I know he was in a tag match last week. Was he actually? Was he in a tag match? I can't even remember. But he seems to have a lot of these one-on-one singles matches. I know he was the TNT champion for a while. But it just, they almost seem pointless to a certain extent. and it's kind of repetitive what's been happening, especially the last 3 weeks. The match itself, though, getting a 68, probably should have made this one the steal the show because it might have actually done a little bit better. But we do have Cody Rhodes defeating Angelico in 12:20 by pinfall with the beautiful disaster and a 71 in-ring there for Cody. All right, we then go into the, like I said, what seems like every week for like the last 3 to 4 weeks has been a Team Taz, following angle to the tag matches or the singles matches that Cody or Darby seem to be in. This week, they once again came out, basically said they're going to beat Cody up because he's essentially all alone in the ring because Darby's up in the rafters or up in the top level of the crowd. And then we have Sting come out with his baseball bat. There was a pretty cool little segment here, or part of the actual angle itself, where Powerhouse Hobbs was kind of going towards Sting and not really caring about the fact that he had a baseball bat. This kind of made, Hobbs look a little bit more dominant. And it's interesting because, if Hobbs wasn't in the angle, you could do the same thing for Brian Cage, and it would have made Cage look a lot stronger. I kind of feel like Cage is he kind of seems to be the outcast in this actual stable at the moment. But yeah, Sting coming out to the rescue, doesn't actually do anything, just points his bat, and that's about it. Now, I remember there was a girl in the crowd that just kept screaming, and she did it for most of the show, and I found it absolutely infuriating. I'm sure a lot of other people did as well. Anyway, I think on this one we had both Taz and Ricky on entertainment because they were the only two that actually spoke. And I think we had, not sure if I did it or not, but I was going to do the three faces being Cody, Darby, and Sting. I think I might have done them on overness as well. And unfortunately, we only get a 56, so it's a little bit low considering who's actually in the angle. But then again, I'm not 100% sure about Taz's sort of entertainment skills. I would assume with the mod that they're pretty good, but this mod, it does also have a few little missing ingredients as well. And once again, one of our roster members is not actually in the database. Well, she's in the database, but she's not actually on our roster. So, yeah. All right, we then go into a 48 rated angle here where we have Alex Marvez interviewing Miro backstage about what went down at the end of Dynamite last week. Apparently, Miro's been fined $75,000, which, I don't know, that just seems really unrealistic. Like, Miro's probably not even making close to that, in a month. I don't get it. I feel like 75 it seems like way too much. I understand that he assaulted, it was only 3 security guards. Like, I don't know. I don't really get it. He obviously beat the crap out of, Trent, Chucky, and Cassidy, but Orange Cassidy, that is. 75,000 for 3 security guards? I mean, maybe 15. 15,000 would probably be a reasonable amount. 5K for each security guard, but I don't know. 75 just seemed absolutely ridiculous. And it just not really believable at all that he actually got fined. That just kind of made it a bit of a joke to a certain extent. Anyway, a 48's pretty low, actually. I'm kind of wondering why that is, because Miro actually was speaking very well and kind of alluding to what's going to happen next. I think it was next week? I think it might have been next week. But he also said that it's his birthday. And I think the crowd actually popped for that a little bit, even though there wasn't much of a crowd to begin with. There we go. I think we also have Alex on our microphone as well, so should probably check his microphone ability. Anyway, we then go into, I think this was supposed to happen after the match. Anyway, we get a 55, so there was a big brawl, big beat down. Yeah, I'm definitely must have missed. Oh no, actually, yeah, no, it was just an angle. I thought there might have been a match, but I think Eddie Kingston just came out. Yeah, he cut a promo, and then Lance Arch came out, Butcher Blade came out, everybody came out basically, and they were all going at it. And then we had there was a nice little moment in there as well where Pac and Lance Archer kind of looked at each other and were maybe thinking about going to blows. It was pretty cool. It does seem like Archer is now leaning more towards the face side of things as well, which I kind of like, because the heel, monster, while it's not overplayed, him squashing jobbers all the time, that was getting overplayed. And the whole segments where he's in a ring in a backyard destroying people. One time is okay, but I think they did it a few times and it was just, I don't know, pointless. Anyway, next angle here we have Dasha Gonzalez interviewing Dustin Rhodes, and he talks about his victory last week and how he doesn't want to become 7 because he's already been there, done that back in his WCW days where he debuted and then cut a bit of a pipe bomb, if you will, and yeah, kind of went off script and did his whole, I'm Dustin Rhodes, son of, Dusty and all that. Anyway, this angle, it does okay. We get a 53. It seems like our announcers are really, I don't know, they're kind of dragging everything down a little bit. As you can see, Dasha underperformed. And I think next week, Dustin will be taking on Evil Uno one-on-one, so that'll be interesting as well. They both actually improvise well. I'm not sure if I did Dasha on entertainment or just microphone. I think microphone also can be unscripted. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm thinking that's probably what happened here. Anyway, 53 is not great, so we'll move on. And we go into what is supposed to be a 6-on-6 tag, so a 12-man tag. But unfortunately, TEW limits it to a 5-on-5. So we couldn't do every member. Basically, I left out Griff Garrison on this team. And on this team, I left out Ortiz as well for Inner Circle. But they do pretty well. We get a 64. We have the Inner Circle defeating Brian Pillman Jr., Best Friends, and Top Flight in 10:07 when MJF pinned Brian Pillman Jr. with a Swanton Bomb. And Jericho head and shoulders above everybody else in the match. And we had Dante Martin off his game with a 9 in-ring performance. That's pretty terrible. Very terrible. We had Jericho with an 80. So, Jericho's real solid. Real solid. Looked excellent out there as well. Good stuff. I'm happy with the 64 for that one because it's I think it was also a Wild Brawl match, which we are required to have. So yeah, good stuff. All right, we then go into a 36 rated angle where we have Marvez. This time it kind of looked like a lobby. He was interviewing Thunder Rosa in a lobby. He was talking about Britt Baker. Made a funny little joke about Britt's nose, which I thought was, well done, taking a shot. And Britt and Reba got their shots back, beating her down as Reba caused a distraction and Britt attacked her from behind. All in all, made Britt look pretty good, and she actually addressed the nose sort of joke that Thunder Rosa made, and I thought that was pretty good as well. Didn't really like her joke though. She made a weird sort of camera joke. I don't know, didn't go down too well with me, but a 36, it's okay. It's not terrible. Well, it is kind of bad, but you know what? It's the women's division, which I feel like is obviously a very weak point in AEW at the moment, but they have been making good strides. All right, we then go into a 48 rated match where we have SCU and the Acclaimed, and we do indeed have the Acclaimed, which was a bit of a surprise, a bit of an upset. They defeated SCU in 10:20 when Anthony Bowens pinned Christopher Daniels with a handful of tights. Obviously, it wasn't a handful of tights, but it was kind of a tainted victory, if you will. I felt like it was anyway. And then, the Acclaimed, they kept putting over the fact that they're the rank 5 tag team in AEW, even though we've essentially never seen them in the ring on Dynamite. So, yeah, make of that what you will. But as you can see, a 48's actually pretty solid, even though their in-ring performances are really low. And then, of course, we have a following angle as well, which does pretty badly because their popularity is pretty low. So we get a 36 here. which is not great. Really going to drag that tag team title storyline down, the heat anyway. But we have the Acclaimed, and of course they, I think it is Caster. He comes out and does like his little rap diss, calling the Young Bucks cucks, young cucks. That's pretty funny. But yeah, they also challenge the Young Bucks to a tag team title match next week, and it looks like they've accepted. So yeah, we'll see these two teams go at it on the next Dynamite as well for those tag titles. See, I'm fine with them versing each other, but I don't really understand why it would be for the tag team titles. You've got the whole ranking system. They were number 5 going into this match against SCU. I don't really think, Kazarian and Daniels is that highly of a rated tag team. Obviously, it's a win on Dynamite, so maybe you put a few points forward for that victory and the upset. But then again, they're ranked number 5. Not exactly sure where SCU were ranked prior to this match. They might not have even been in the top 5 for all I know. I don't really check the rankings, but why wouldn't the number 1 team be the ones to get a title shot? This is kind of what this. It's just some continuity issues about AEW. I'm a big fan. There are some things that I do dislike. Anyway, we move on. We go into a 23 rated angle, and I knew this one was going to do pretty badly. We have both members of Top Flight, and Dasha Gonzalez interviews them. They kind of talk about Sammy Guevara. Was it Sammy? Well, no, it was MJF. I think it was MJF and Chris Jericho, because they had a bit of a kerfuffle after the 6-man tag, or the 12-man tag that we did a 10-man tag for earlier. So they I think they also asked for a match, and it looks like it was booked as well, because we had a graphic pop up a little bit later in the show. 23 is not great, but they likely can't exactly talk on the microphone. The interview itself did seem a little bit weird. I don't know what it is, but they don't seem that charismatic. I know they're both really young. It just didn't seem like a lot of charisma there. Maybe they were a bit nervous speaking on, national TV. Could be it. We'll have to wait and see. I don't want to judge them too quickly, but it seemed a bit stiff and a bit awkward, to be honest. Alrighty, this is the match that I obviously couldn't do properly, but we get a 29 for this one. We have Big Swole and Serena Deeb defeating Ivelisse and Diamante. Obviously, for some reason, I don't know why, it's a December mod, but Diamante isn't on the roster, so we're gonna have to sign her up. I probably should have noticed that, but she was the one that I missed last week. I didn't actually see her in the angle when she did the beatdown on these two, so if I had realized it last week, which I didn't, I would have obviously had it fixed for this week, but there we go. It's use your imagination. It wouldn't have made the match any better, to be honest. So they defeat Ivelisse and Diamante in 9:59 when I think it was actually Big Swole. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Big Swole won the match, but I guess for some reason I put Serena Deeb. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, pinning Ivelisse. I think it was Diamante that took the pinfall as well. So unfortunate, and unfortunately we've also got the penalty here. The matches between competitors that should be on the pre-show. Not great, but probably wouldn't be doing too much better than a 29 there anyway. So yeah, cooled the crowd down a little as well. And then we had a following angle as well when we had Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero essentially team up with Ivelisse and Diamante, continuing a beatdown onto Deeb and Swole. And then we had Red Velvet, who's another one that's not even actually... I'm not sure if she's in the database, but she's also not on the roster. And I kind of knew that one from last week, so I probably should have sorted it out. But honestly, this was like a 2-minute angle, if that. And it didn't really seem necessary. And I really just couldn't be bothered, to be honest. I don't really want to add any more people. Kind of added more people last week. And yeah, there was a whole thing. Anyway, 33, not too bad. But yeah, Red Velvet coming out. I think she came out with a steel chair as well. Cracking Nyla across the back. And yeah, we move on. it was an okay angle. I feel like these are all kind of the like lower mid carders, apart from maybe Nyla, because Nyla was obviously heavily involved with the women's world title for a while. But now we're moved on to other things. There was no women's world title angles or anything on the show. Interesting. We then move to kind of an outside backstage sort of angle between Chuck Taylor, well, best friends, all the best friends, including Cassidy there, getting a 56. And they basically say that they're excited for Kip and Penelope's wedding, the wedding date announcement, which Miro mentioned earlier in his backstage interview as well. It was okay. Trent kind of looked weird towards the end of the angle, if I'm being, pretty critical, but albeit it was still okay. They got their point across, and they're still going to continue with this Kip and Miro feud. We then this was a weird one. It was okay because it was luckily a good angle, because obviously Dax and Cash can speak on the mic. But they went to the announce booth, basically saying that they deserve some damn TV time, and they're pissed off. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't anything else really much to say, but they kind of just said that the tag division without them is looking pretty weak out here. And it would be nice if they had something to do, to be honest. So yeah, we get a 55 there. I kind of would like them to maybe go after Top Flight, because they're the flippy guys that like to do the high aerial type moves. And it would probably elevate Top Flight as well. They're probably saving it a little bit further down the line, but it'd definitely be an interesting storyline. Kind of similar to maybe the Young Bucks, but this will give FTR, an easy win for a storyline. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, we had Dax not doing well without a script, and then Cash improvising well. There we go. Alrighty, we then go into the main event here, getting a 67 rating, so 1 point lower than one of our other matches on the card. A little bit of a shorter main event, as you can see, not too long, but we did have Kenny Omega defeating Joey Janela in 11:33 by pinfall with a Kreutz Wrath. Not too sure what that finisher is, actually. I'm assuming it probably has a different name. But anyway, perfectly fine. And this was a no DQ TV match. Obviously, there aren't some things you can do on TV that you can do on pay-per-view. So I kind of made two separate matches. Got a no DQ, then we have a no DQ TV. And this was indeed a no DQ TV. Basically, just the trash can was used, and then a few baking trays, a couple of chairs, and yeah, finally a table as well. And that was a pretty mean leg drop from Joey Janela. Kind of looked like he was struggling to climb the ropes, climb to the top rope, because he was obviously facing the opposite direction. But he dropped a leg onto Kenny's. It kind of looked like Kenny's head, to be honest, and it looked badass. Hopefully, Kenny wasn't actually injured from it, but it looked good, even though it might have really hurt somebody, and there was definitely some risk involved in that. Yeah, solid 67. I mean, it's a good enough main event. We've got a 73 there from Kenny, and a pretty low 43 from Janela. And then we have a final angle getting us a 63 rating to end the show. We have Don Callis celebrating with Kenny Omega. Surprisingly, I didn't expect this to happen, but Pac, or Death Triangle, comes out, and Pac basically says that him and Kenny have some unfinished business, but so does Rey Fenix, because apparently Rey Fenix never lost in his world title eliminator tournament match, I guess. Obviously, picking up the injury, he was never actually involved in that. It was like a semi-final match, I guess. It was the one before the pay-per-view. And then, of course, we had Kenny versus Penta during that. So, yeah, Rey Fenix is apparently getting a world title shot, which is interesting. You know what would be really cool? If Kenny kind of refused somehow, maybe his EVP powers, and basically instead put the AAA, is it Universal? AAA Mega? AAA, I think it's Mega. AAA Mega title on the line. That would be a much better sort of way of Kenny, making sure he keeps hold of the world title. And it's a good little heel sort of escape from that stipulation on the match. Obviously, still going to be a title on the line, but it's not as important to him probably. The Triple R, mega title or whatever it's called. I might be wrong with what it's called, but yeah, because I'm pretty sure he just defended at Triple Mania, and yeah, and of course these boys are in AAA in Mexico, so could be cool, but they're probably just going to do it for the world title, I would assume. And with that world title on the line, you kind of just expect Kenny to win, even if it's going to be tainted or whatever. I mean, realistically, the match could probably just break down, and Eddie Kingston will probably just come out and get involved. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I think that when is that? Is that next week? I don't think it's next week. I think he said the 30th of December, so 2 weeks' time, I guess. Anyway, 63, pretty good. Good way to end the show. And Don Callis really did some good work on the microphone here as well as Pac. And yeah, it was only these three rated on entertainment here. So Pac, Kenny, and Don Callis. All right, we finished the show. It does okay. I feel like a 70 rated show is probably about what this show kind of deserved, because it wasn't anything too special. Like I said, all the matches were kind of average. My favorite match was probably the Inner Circle versus Pillman Jr., Griff Garrison, Best Friends, and Top Flight. And it was just mainly because there was a lot of. I really enjoyed the way the match started with Pillman Jr. and Jericho, and you could tell that Jericho was really trying to put Pillman over. Obviously, I think it was Excalibur that also put over the fact that Jericho worked a lot with his dad as well, and I think it was the literally the first move. Jericho, probably the best I've seen him sell anything in a while. Just really took a good bump to the mat. And then gave him a nice sort of dish. It's a respectful, but an also disrespectful slap as well. And then obviously Pillman got one back as well. I just thought that was a really good moment. And the match itself overall, I mean, there are a few little botches here and there, but ultimately it was a good match. And obviously as well, the Inner Circle got a victory, which I think is pretty important as the sort of main stable on the AEW roster. Anyway, there we go. I did have to rebook this show as well, as you can see, where we're not actually on Wednesday, and we're on Tuesday now. So I had to run the show on a Monday because Matt Hardy was still out injured, and obviously I didn't realize that. I thought he'd already come back, and we had to do that. So a few little things that are maybe not perfect with the way things are going. Or the way things went in real life. But you know what? It's as close as I could get it, really. And ultimately, I was pretty happy with it. So there we go. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give it a like if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel as well if you want to stay up to date with these episodes. Of course, we've got the local to global series with the Cornell-verse. No relation to Jim Cornette or anyone like that. It's Cornell. It's a different thing. And it's a completely sort of made up universe with lots of different companies and different stuff like that. So if you've never checked that out and you only sort of do real world stuff, maybe go and check that series out. I think the first four to five episodes aren't really a true representation of where the series is now. So definitely stick with it if you decide to give it a chance. Anyway, apart from that, guys, as always, take it easy. I'll see you next week for another TEW Rates AEW.